On this exact day, 70 years ago, Toho's film Gojira made its nationwide debut in the country of Japan, and a new genre of movies and shows known as Tokusatsu was born. Or, well, it's at least the first production that everyone agrees should count as Toku. Some say older media should be considered part of the genre too, but this is the first that is considered to be Toku by everyone. The 70th birthday of both Godzilla and at least somewhat Tokusatsu is a pretty big deal, especially for someone like me with a YouTube channel called The Toku Professor, so I decided we should celebrate with a special history class today. Today I'm going to be discussing the time that several of the most famous Tokusatsu characters, including Godzilla, from the biggest Tokusatsu franchises, joined forces in order to fight off a great evil by turning themselves into a strange giant robot. Let's look at the complete history of Shin Universe Robo. Howdy students, and welcome back to the only school on Earth that recognizes how critical it is to study Kaiju as part of a well-balanced education. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I teaching a class on a character that only exists as a toy? Well, he actually isn't just a toy. Being a piece of merch for collectors is the Shin Universe Robo's main purpose, but believe it or not, Bandai actually put out a promotional short of this robot in action to advertise the figure that uses actual tokusatsu, so we're gonna study it all. Let's mix things up and start with the merchandise section first. Shin Universe Robo was created as part of the Shin Japan Heroes Universe project, which is basically a collaboration consisting of events and merchandise featuring the 4 stars of Hideaki Anno's Shin series, namely Godzilla from Shin Godzilla, Ultraman from Shin Ultraman, Kamen Rider 1 from Shin Kamen Rider, and... wait, why is there an anime character in here? Who even is this guy? Was he just thrown in here to try and trip up Tokusatsu fans? What is this? Well, I guess he can stay if it means Godzilla, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider can have crossovers. Anyway, all these characters get to appear in merchandise together as part of the Shin Japan Heroes Universe collab, and one of those pieces of merch is the totally wacky Shin Universe Robo, brought to us by Bandai. It's a very expensive transforming robot toy that can be created by connecting these 4 individual tokusatsu, and 1 anime, characters, much like a Super Sentai / Power Rangers robot. In fact, it's basically the exact same thing, except instead of turning vehicles or little robots into the big robot, you're using toys of actual living beings, which is kind of frightening. I guess this is the closest we're ever going to get to Shin Super Sentai, since the SJHU seems to have basically fizzled out of existence. Anyway, so far this is the only toy of this guy, but as I mentioned in a past video, I'm holding out hope that eventually a cheaper Movie Monster series interpretation of the character will be released, before I end up not being able to control myself anymore and paying $150 or more for this amazing, but probably overpriced figure. If I ever do buy the full-priced robot, maybe I'll make a video about it for you all. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Okay, now let's move on to the promotional ad I discussed earlier that Bandai put out to advertise their crazy creation. This short came out in 2023 and was both storyboarded and directed by Hiroshi Butsuda, who had been involved with all kinds of toku throughout his career, including Ultraman vs. Kamen Rider, which we looked at a while back. His decision to make the short using an actual costume and practical effects apparently came after a phone call he had with the main man behind all the Shin series movies, Hideaki Anno himself, who supposedly wanted the ad to have a shot where the robot walked right through an explosion unfazed. You see scenes like this in tokusatsu projects all the time, so I guess it just made sense to Butsuda to make a Shin Universe Robo suit after hearing this. It was apparently sculpted by Kazunori Kawatsu, and worn by suit actor Yohei Fujita, who has played numerous Super Sentai and Kamen Rider characters, including several of the main Sentai giant robots. I wonder who owns this suit now that it's not needed anymore. I'd take it. I think it'd be cool if Toho used it for one of their Godzilla Fest tokusatsu shorts they've been putting out every year on this day. Alright, I think it's time to look at this big guy's role in universe. Or should I say, Shin Universe? As the short began, it was revealed that this giant monster made of sludge or something, with an army of little flying sludge creatures, was threatening an unspecified city. But luckily, a group of fully capable heroes arrived to combat the menace. Oh, and also Shin Godzilla decided to help too for some reason. Kinda not what you would expect based on his movie, but I guess Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and the purple guy were willing to take any help they could get. After using their special abilities to take out some of the flying beasts, except for Kamen Rider who just stood there, Godzilla let out a mighty roar, presumably to tell his fellow Shin heroes it was transforming time. His comrades nodded in agreement. I wonder if they knew exactly what they were getting into. Godzilla began the transformation sequence by... Oh. Wow. What? What? Huh? Okay, this is hard to wrap my poor head around. How were they able to do that? Are they all still alive? Guess we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. After connecting to the now very strangely shaped Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman fired his Spacium Beam, which created a sword for the robot being built, and the purple guy used this move to provide both a shield and, I guess, a collar for Godzilla. For some reason, though, Kamen Rider 1 didn't have to go through any of this excruciatingly painful-looking stuff, and just landed his bike, the Cyclone, on the top of his poor friends, creating Shin Universe Robo's head. You really aren't putting in much work today, are you? The super strange robot was now complete, and did a pose. The weird monster they were up against fired an energy blast at his new, unusual foe, which caused a massive explosion the Robo was able to easily walk through. I assume this was the scene Anno requested. Not even some added blasts by the small flying guys could do anything to Shin Universe Robo. Kamen Rider 1, the maybe only living hero left, gave the order to use a finishing move, and the robot charged up his sword like a Super Sentai robot, and then sliced with one hand, and bashed with his shield with the other. And then suddenly all the heroes went back to being themselves and added their finishing moves to the attack. The poor monster we barely got to know stood no chance, and the now no longer a robot Shin heroes emerged victorious. One last shot of the Shin Universe Robo was then shown to complete the short. Interesting little ad, huh? And I think we've covered everything. For your homework, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Twitter/X, and check out my eBay store by clicking the link in the description, which has tons of great Toku figures.
Professor, the principal wants me to move something really heavy. Would you be able to lend me a hand?
This is our school's security robot, by the way, if you haven't met him. Sure, I can help.
Awesome. Thanks, old pal.
Wait, what? Ah! What? Huh? What did you do to me?
I thought you agreed to be an extra hand for me.
I did... Fine, but please try not to take too long. This is very uncomfortable.